For a period of 4 months, a contingent of North Korean soldiers was deployed to a region far from their homeland. They found themselves in Russia's Kursk region, an area that has seen significant military activity and remains littered with the deadly remnants of conflict. Their specific assignment was one of the most hazardous tasks in modern warfare, locating and neutralizing landmines and other unexploded ordnance. Official accounts and emerging reports indicate that this mission lasted for approximately 120 days, a significant duration that underscores the scale of the challenge they faced and the commitment made by their government to this cooperative effort with Moscow. The sheer volume of their work speaks to the intensity of the operation. Throughout their deployment, these North Korean forces were credited with clearing an astonishing number of explosive devices, with figures suggesting they removed over 1.5 million items. This number includes a wide variety of munitions left behind from battles, each one posing a lethal threat to the demoners. The mission was not just a technical exercise, but a daily confrontation with mortality, carried out in fields and forests where a single misstep could have fatal consequences. This deployment represents a significant, if not widely publicized, chapter in the evolving relationship between North Korea and Russia. The news of this operation emerged through various channels, catching many international observers by surprise. The high-risk nature of mine-clearing operations casualties are an almost inevitable consequence, and this mission was no exception. The official figures, though likely conservative, paint a grim picture. During the 120-day deployment, it was reported that 9 soldiers lost their lives. These deaths represent individual tragedies for families and communities back in North Korea. The work is slow, methodical, and unforgiving. The slightest lapse in concentration or equipment failure can lead to immediate, devastating results. Beyond the fatalities, many soldiers returned home with life-altering injuries. The explosive devices they were tasked with removing are designed to maim as much as to kill. Many survivors suffered severe wounds. Some returned having lost limbs and requiring wheelchairs for mobility. These veterans face a lifetime of physical challenges and psychological trauma. While the state may honor them with medals and praise, the daily reality for these injured soldiers and their families involves navigating a new life defined by disability and the memories of the constant danger they faced in the fields of Kursk. For the families left behind in North Korea, the deployment was a period of profound anxiety and uncertainty. Communication with soldiers on such missions is often sporadic and heavily censored, leaving loved ones to wait for news with little information. The return of injured soldiers, or the confirmation of a death, brings a particular kind of grief, one that is often required to be expressed within the narrow confines of state-sanctioned patriotism. The government hailed the fallen and the wounded as heroes who had fulfilled their duty, but this public narrative often masks the private sorrow and hardship experienced by the households directly affected by the loss or injury of a son, a husband, a father. Several powerful motivations drove North Korea's decision to dispatch its soldiers to Russia for such a perilous task. First and foremost, the regime in Pyongyang is in constant need of foreign currency to sustain its isolated economy. Decades of international sanctions have severely restricted its ability to trade and generate revenue. By providing military labor to Russia, North Korea secured a vital financial lifeline. It is understood that Russia compensated Pyongyang for the deployment of its troops, providing funds that could be used to support the government, finance its weapons programs, or purchase essential goods from abroad. Secondly, the pursuit of advanced military technology is a cornerstone of North Korea's national security strategy. The country's leadership is keenly aware that its conventional military hardware is aging and often lags behind that of its adversaries. An alliance with a major military power like Russia offers a direct pathway to modernization. In exchange for its support, Pyongyang likely sought and received access to Russian military expertise, components for its ballistic missile and satellite programs, and potentially even more advanced weapon systems. This technological transfer helps North Korea enhance its own defensive and offensive capabilities, a long-term strategic goal for the regime. A third critical factor is the shared geopolitical worldview of North Korea and Russia. Both nations perceive themselves as being unfairly targeted by the US-dominated global order and have faced similar pressures through economic sanctions and political isolation. This shared sense of grievance creates a powerful bond, transforming their relationship from one of simple convenience into a strategic alignment. By working together, Moscow and Pyongyang aim to create a united front against Western pressure, demonstrating that they are not alone and can rely on each other for mutual support. Finally, the mission serves a domestic propaganda purpose for the Kim regime, projecting strength and international relevance to its own people. For Russia, the benefits of this arrangement were both practical and strategic. Engaged in a prolonged and resource-intensive conflict in Ukraine, the Russian military faced significant manpower challenges. Demining is a slow, laborious, and extremely dangerous task that ties up specialized engineering units that could be deployed elsewhere. By outsourcing this critical work to North Korean troops, Russia was able to free up its own soldiers for other frontline duties. The North Korean contingent provided a dedicated workforce capable of clearing large areas of contaminated land, thereby accelerating Russia's efforts to secure and control territory without straining its own overstretched military personnel. Beyond the immediate tactical advantages, the alliance with North Korea provided Russia with significant political and diplomatic gains. At a time when many Western nations have sought to isolate Moscow through sanctions and condemnation, Pyongyang's unwavering support offered a valuable counter-narrative. The public displays of solidarity between Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un, including high-profile summits and mutual praise, were designed to show the world that Russia still has steadfast allies. This political partnership helps Russia project an image of resilience, demonstrating that it can build alternative coalitions outside the Western-led international system and is not as isolated as its adversaries might hope. Furthermore, the cooperation likely extended beyond just demining operations. North Korea possesses one of the world's largest stockpiles of artillery shells and rockets, much of which is compatible with Soviet-era systems still used by the Russian military. Reports from multiple intelligence agencies have indicated that North Korea has been a significant supplier of munitions to Russia. Quick break. If you value clear fact-first analysis, please tap subscribe and enable notifications. It helps more viewers see nuanced reporting like this, providing millions of artillery shells to help replenish depleted Russian stocks. This logistical support has been crucial for sustaining Russia's war effort, allowing its forces to maintain a high rate of fire along the front lines in Ukraine. In this context, the deployment of troops was just one facet of a much broader military supply chain. Ultimately, the partnership allowed Russia to tap into a resource that North Korea has in abundance: a large, disciplined military force accustomed to hardship and operating under a strict command structure. The North Korean soldiers were likely seen as a cost-effective and politically reliable source of labor for dangerous tasks that might otherwise lead to dissent or morale issues among Russian conscripts. By leveraging North Korea's unique political and military system, Russia found a solution to some of its pressing wartime needs, while simultaneously solidifying a strategic relationship with a like-minded state, creating a partnership that serves both of their immediate and long-term interests. The deepening military cooperation between Russia and North Korea has not gone unnoticed, and it has triggered significant alarm in many world capitals. The United States, South Korea, Japan have watched these developments with growing concern. For them, this alliance represents a direct threat to regional stability. The prospect of Russia providing North Korea with advanced missile, nuclear, and satellite technology in exchange for conventional munitions is a nightmare scenario. Such a transfer could accelerate Pyongyang's weapons programs, alter the military balance on the Korean peninsula, increase the risk of conflict. Western nations have signaled intent to increase pressure on Moscow and Pyongyang. That will likely mean new, more stringent economic sanctions, disrupting the flow of money technology materials. The United States may enhance its military posture in the region to reassure allies and deter aggression. That could include more frequent joint exercises with South Korea and Japan, deployment of aircraft carriers, deployment of bombers, increased intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance to monitor North Korean and Russian actions. The alliance also has broader implications for global security norms, particularly the international non-pro-lifer AY Shun regime. Russia, as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, has historically supported sanctions against North Korea for its nuclear and missile tests. But its cooperation with Pyongyang, likely violating UN resolutions it once voted for, represents a significant erosion of that international consensus. This undermines Security Council credibility, makes enforcing sanctions or diplomatic solutions harder, and signals a more fragmented, confrontational global order. Neighbors feel this immediately. South Korea may face an adversary armed with more sophisticated Russian tech. Its northern neighbor is emboldened by major power backing. For Ukraine, North Korean artillery shells directly impact the battlefield, enabling Russia to prolong operations. The alliance complicates strategic calculations, forcing countries to adapt to a new reality of two isolated, heavily militarized states, pooling resources and coordinating actions. The relationship between Russia and North Korea is not new, but has fluctuated dramatically over the decades, reflecting the shifting tides of global politics. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union was North Korea's principal benefactor, providing the economic aid, providing the military aid. They were bound by a shared communist ideology and a common adversary in the United States. Moscow helped build North Korea's industrial base and equipped its army, establishing a patron-client relationship for nearly half a century. This history provides context for today's rapprochement. After the Soviet collapse in 1991, relations entered a deep freeze. A newly democratic Russia, seeking ties with the West, distanced itself from its Cold War client. Aid was cut off, political engagement dwindled, leaving North Korea feeling abandoned. Neglect forced Pyongyang to pursue its own path, notably developing its nuclear weapons program. For years, the alliance was a historical footnote with minimal diplomatic and economic contact. The turn of the 21st century, and especially after Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014, planted seeds of a renewed partnership. As Russia's ties with the West deteriorated, Moscow looked for alternative partners and reasserted influence where it had retreated. Both countries grew aligned in opposition to U.S. foreign policy and international sanctions. Leaders engaged in more frequent diplomatic exchanges, slowly rebuilding trust. The 2022 full-scale invasion of Ukraine acted as a powerful catalyst, turning rapprochement into a strategic alliance. Faced with unprecedented Western sanctions and a high attrition war, Russia urgently needed military supplies and allies. North Korea, with vast stockpiles of compatible ammunition and a shared anti-Western ideology, became a natural partner. The deal is mutual. North Korea provides the munitions. North Korea provides manpower. Russia provides the food, fuel, cash, and sensitive technology that North Korea desperately needs to sustain its regime and advance its military ambitions. Looking forward, the trajectory of the Russia-North Korea alliance remains a subject of intense speculation and concern. The immediate question is whether this cooperation will expand further. If Russia's needs in Ukraine persist or grow, it may request additional support from Pyongyang. That could mean the deployment of more North Korean troops, or the transfer of different types of military hardware. The scope could shift from a simple exchange of goods to a deeper, integrated military and economic bloc. That would create a more permanent fixture in Eurasia's geopolitical landscape. The long-term risks are significant, especially around military technology. If Russia supplies advanced capabilities like solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear-powered submarines, military reconnaissance satellites, it could fundamentally destabilize security in Northeast Asia. An emboldened North Korea with more powerful weapons would threaten its neighbors and undermine prospects for diplomacy and denuclearization. The international community would face a harder, more dangerous challenge, with fewer options for peaceful resolution and greater risk of miscalculation. If circumstances change, for example, a resolution to the conflict in Ukraine or a shift in leadership in either country, the basis for cooperation could weaken. Sustained international pressure, tighter sanctions enforcement, or diplomatic efforts to peel away Russia's partners could raise the alliance's costs and reduce its appeal. The future rests on many variables. The human element raises profound, troubling questions. Using soldiers as an export commodity to fight abroad for cash and tech carries heavy moral weight. The stories of the 9 soldiers who died and the many more who returned injured from the minefields of Kursk are a stark reminder of real-world consequences. The long-term impact on these individuals, their families, and their communities is a cost not captured by strategy papers, but vital to the full story. What do you think of this new bond between Moscow and Pyongyang? Share your view below. And if you want more context-rich reporting, subscribe for our next breakdown. Soft. Thank you for watching.